Welcome back to my channel. So in a few days we are getting ready to say goodbye to 2018, and I thought I would do a fun project, very quick and easy, to decorate the walls in your office or your studio or even on your refrigerator, and that is a year calendar using watercolor paints and some doodling. I just want to mention that I'm making 10 of these calendars, so I needed to speed up the process as much as possible. So I went online and Googled images for 2019 calendars. Once I selected the image I wanted, I sized it to match the dimensions of my final product and printed it on regular copy paper. This provides me with a no-fuss template so I don't have to measure anything or risk the chance of missing a number. If you're just making one for yourself, this step can be skipped. You can print the months directly onto your watercolor paper, but I wanted to give my calendar a DIY look, so I opted to trace the letters and numbers in my own handwriting using tracing paper. I think this personalizes the calendars even further, and I know that my recipients will enjoy that special touch. Once the tracing was done, I scanned it and saved it as a JPEG file. Then I went to Photoshop and removed all the lines that I didn't want and any smudges. I then used this final template to print the calendar onto watercolor paper, and that way I didn't have to rewrite all those numbers for all 10 calendars. And once again, if you're doing a calendar just for yourself, you don't need to go through that process because you can just write the numbers directly onto your watercolor paper. If you've noticed, I've aligned the months module towards the bottom right corner, and that way it gives me room to paint the year 2019 on the left and a floral design on the top. Since I've allowed quite a sizable area to paint the image in, I decided to sketch it with a pencil prior to painting. That way I can check the composition before it's too late. The image can be as detailed as you want it to be, but I opted for something whimsical and fun. I'm making my usual swirly flowers and some simple leaves. And of course, I'll be adding some doodles later on. And you don't have to paint flowers. For example, if you have a pet, you could paint a cute image of your cat or your dog. And if you're doing the calendar to put on the fridge, you might want to paint your favorite food, for instance. Or do something completely abstract. Just make it fun. Something that will inspire you throughout the year. And again, if the ideas don't come to you, you can search Pinterest or Instagram for inspiration. When tracing your design with a pencil, make sure that you use a light touch and maybe a kneaded eraser. That way you won't damage your paper. My sketch is done, so I can now remove some of those intersecting lines that I don't need, and I can start painting. The entire painting was done with this brush, which is a number 4 round by Princeton Neptune, and the inspiration for the color scheme comes from the official Pantone color of 2019, which is called Living Coral. And to get the color, I've had to mix several together. I believe I used pyrrol transparent orange, a bit of primary yellow, and shell pink. And all the colors and the paints and all the materials that I've used will be listed in the description of this video. You just have to click on show more and scroll down until you see supplies used in this video. As I've mentioned before, the style of this painting is very whimsical, so I'm not going to paint with precision. I'll make sure that I don't stay within the sketch lines and use very broad strokes, trying to stay as loose as possible. So I'm essentially using the sketch underneath as more of a general guide for where to apply the colors rather than the limited areas I need to fill in. While the painting is drying, I can now write the year, and for this I'm just going to freehand it. I'm being adventurous. I just showed you my little puddle of coral that I mixed in previous to that. I know that it might look orange on the screen, but it's actually the exact same color as the Pantone color, so I was quite proud of that. And what I've done to, as a little bit of a guide, I've aligned each of the numbers to match the rows. So there's 4 rows of months, and so each row will get a number. Now, a little bit of an observation here, I find that I didn't leave enough of a gap between the year and the month, so it's something I have to pay attention to when I make the 9 others. And again, I make sure that the style I use for the year matches the painting, so I make sure that the lines vary in thickness. Highlighting the days of the weeks makes the calendar a bit easier to read, and for this I decided to use a gray highlighter by Zebra. It is a mild liner. I find it blends well with the black calendar without grabbing too much attention. I would advise you to test out your materials before you use anything on the beautiful letters and numbers that you wrote, just to avoid any smudging. It is now time to do the doodling, which is always the fun part of a painting. And what I'm doing is going over the pencil lines that I have previously sketched. That's why I decided to leave them in and did not lighten them up by going over them with a kneaded eraser, because I actually kneaded them. No pun intended. I find this makes for a more dynamic look, less static if you will, since the colors are popping out of the line art. I'm also going to add a bit of doodling in the empty spaces to make it even more fun. And I'll make sure to add the doodles so that the eye travels all around the painting. I'm also going to be adding some white details with a Signo white gel pen. And it was very difficult to stop at this point. I really had to force myself to not add too much because white is so much fun to lay over bright colors. I find it brings out the flowers to the foreground a little bit more. And of course, I'm going to be adding some gold because, well, you already know the drill by now. I'm a gold fanatic. So while I'm finishing up this painting, I want to address something that was brought up to me recently, and that is about my patrons. Who are those patrons that you keep thanking at the end of your videos? Well, my awesome patrons, as I call them, offer financial support on a platform called Patreon. And in return, they get exclusive rewards depending on the level of membership they've chosen. For instance, some rewards are videos that will only be shown on Patreon. They also get sketches or coloring pages, if you will. Some get stickers, and some even get original paintings mailed to them every month. There's also a community section where the members share their own creations. So it's a very interactive platform. And they now also get to chat with me every month in a live stream. Some of my patrons have been with me since the beginning in November 2015. My gosh, time flies. But regardless of their contribution they give, all of them are equally appreciated. So I hope this sheds some light on what are my awesome patrons. I realize this kind of support is not for everyone. I have had some of you telling me that they support my channel by watching all the ads, and that is quite commendable. So whatever support you offer, whether it's financial or through your wonderful comments, I am so grateful for each and every one of you. And I want to thank you for a wonderful 2018. I know I've been quite inconsistent, and it's something that I'm really working hard at. And I hope that 2019 will bring resolution to that little problem of mine. In the meantime, I hope that this video has inspired you to create your own 2019 calendar. This is a fun way to decorate your home. I also want to wish you all a very happy holiday season, and hopefully I'll be back before the end of the year, but if not, I am wishing you a wonderful 2019 full of creative stuff, joy, comfort, and peace of mind. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon.